Thank you for being with us tonight on this quiet journey through history.
And full of promise, Alexander was thought of as rough, even blunt. Yet, there was something in twist of destiny. Before his death, Nicholas had been engaged to Princess Dagmar of Denmark, a young woman admired for her grace, warmth, and intelligence. After Nicholas's passing, Dagmar grieved deeply, but as time passed, she and Alexander grew close. Unlike his brother, Alexander was not polished, but he was kind, sincere, and strong. Their bond grew, and in 1866 they married. Dagmar converted to Orthodoxy and took the name Maria Fyodorovna. Their marriage would become one of the happiest among European royalty. They were not just bound by duty, but by genuine love. Together they raised children, including Nicholas, who would one day inherit his father's crown. Their home at Hatching Palace was filled with laughter, music, and warmth, far away from the cold glitter of court life. Alexander's years as heir were shadowed by the turbulence of his father's reign. Emperor Alexander II, known as the Tsar Liberator, had freed the serfs in 1861, hoping to bring progress to Russia. His reforms were bold and sweeping, creating new courts, local councils, and new opportunities for education. But the reforms stirred both hope and unrest. Radical groups demanded even more change, while conservatives thought he had gone too far. Assassination attempts grew more frequent. Each time, Alexander Alexandrovich stood loyally by his father, his massive frame and steady presence like a shield. But he could not shield him forever. On March 1, 1881, the storm broke. In St. Petersburg, on the cold cobbled streets, members of the revolutionary group known as the People's Will carried out their deadly plan. A bomb was thrown at the emperor's carriage, shattering it in an explosion of smoke and fire. The Tsar, still alive, stepped out, shaken but determined to see the wounded. But a second bomb struck him down, tearing his body apart. The Tsar Liberator, who had freed millions of serfs, lay dying in the street. His son Alexander was close enough to witness the horror. He saw his father's broken body, heard his final gasps. That moment carved itself into Alexander's soul like fire on stone. From then on, he believed that liberal reforms and compromises had only weakened Russia and invited chaos. He swore that he would not follow the same path. He would be different from his father. He would rule with iron, to protect the throne, the church, and the vast land of Russia from revolution and collapse. Thus began the reign of Alexander III in 1881. He was not a man of charm or polish. He was a man of raw power, standing nearly 2 meters tall, with a great chest and a heavy beard. He looked less like a polished ruler and more like a giant from Russian folklore, one of those mighty bogatyrs who defended the motherland in epic tales. Yet this appearance suited his reign. People soon called him the Iron Tsar. Abroad, because of his avoidance of war, he was known as the peacemaker. Alexander disliked unnecessary luxury. While his court was as grand as tradition demanded, his personal life was much simpler. At the Gatchina Palace outside St. Petersburg, he preferred plain clothes, simple meals of Russian food, and evenings spent with his family. He enjoyed fishing in quiet lakes, woodcarving in his workshop, and the sound of his children's laughter. To those close to him, he was not the stern monarch but a warm husband and affectionate father. He was known to hug with such strength that friends joked his embraces nearly broke bones. His reign was marked by strength at home and caution abroad. He rolled back many of his father's reforms, believing they had given too much power to local councils and liberal movements. He placed universities under strict control, limiting the freedoms of students and teachers. He increased censorship of newspapers and strengthened the authority of the police. The secret police, known as the Okhrana, became more powerful under his rule, hunting down revolutionaries, infiltrating their groups, and exiling many to Siberia. The empire grew quieter, though beneath the surface, discontent remained. He earned him the name Peacemaker, for while many tsars had sought glory on the battlefield, Alexander understood that Russia needed peace to recover, to grow, and to remain stable. His reign brought 13 years of peace, a rare gift in Russia's turbulent history. Alexander's personality was deeply Russian. He admired the peasantry, dressed plainly in private, and had little patience for the glitter and intrigue of European courts. Foreign diplomats sometimes mocked him as rough or unsophisticated, but others respected his honesty and his sheer physical presence. He was deeply religious, believing himself chosen by God to defend orthodoxy and autocracy. Every decision he made was guided by the conviction that Russia must remain strong, united, and faithful. In his family life, Alexander was gentle and devoted. His marriage to Maria Fyodorovna was one of the happiest among European royalty. Together they created a home full of warmth and laughter, raising 6 children. Among them was Nicholas, who would inherit the throne, though Alexander often worried whether his son had the strength and firmness needed to rule. In private moments, Alexander carved wood with his own hands, played with his children, and enjoyed simple evenings far from the pomp of the court. His children remembered him as a father who valued honesty, strength, and faith above all else. But even giants can fall. By the early 1890s, Alexander's health began to weaken. Years of heavy responsibility, stress, and perhaps an inherited illness began to weigh on him. He suffered from kidney disease, and his once great strength slowly faded. Hoping for relief, he moved to Livadia in Crimea, where the warmer climate offered some comfort. The palace there overlooked the Black Sea, and the sound of waves filled the evenings. But his body continued to fail him. In November 1894, at just 49 years old, Alexander III passed away. His death was a great blow to his family and to the empire. He was the Iron Tsar, the peacemaker, the giant who ruled with simplicity and devotion to family, faith, and tradition. He was not loved by all, but he was respected by many. His reign was a pause in the storm, a time of peace in a century of upheaval, and his shadow lingered long after his death. As you listen to his story now, imagine the vast Russian landscape he ruled over, the snowy fields, the endless forests, the golden domes of Orthodox churches shining in the sun. Imagine the tall figure of Alexander, sitting quietly in his palace, carving wood with his strong hands, while outside his empire stretched from Europe to the Pacific. His story reminds us that history is not only about battles and revolutions, but also about the quiet strength of those who chose stability over glory.
If this story has brought you comfort, we invite you to stay with us for more. Simply subscribe to our channel, and each night a new story will be waiting for you.